I would be what people classify a type A. But I have worked hard. I had a good friend many, many years ago who said, Ken, you're not always right. And it takes a very good friend to say that kind of thing to you. And that thing helped me to start changing. And that was 35 years ago. And now I've come to where I can be a little more interactive with other people. But I've also, you said, soft and emotional. I've also found I've become, over the last 10 years or so, much more emotional, especially over the last 2 or 3 years. So
what's prompted that, do you think?
I don't know.
Well, because you said that you didn't always know that you were that, you didn't always realize that you were that intense.
Yeah.
And I did not always realize that people didn't know that they were that intense. And that's when my feelings would get hurt. And instead of saying, sir, you should maybe think about, that kind of hurts my feelings when you approach a subject like that. Now I would be more apt to do that because I understand a little bit more about where I'm coming from, where my head is at, But a couple years ago, somebody just having a conversation, a difference of opinion about something,
And you see,
hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
I don't understand having your feelings hurt.
See, yeah.
Say what you want. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's your opinion. I may not respect it. I may not like it. But that's your opinion.
So
You're
if
welcome to
somebody
it.
comes across harshly to you, does that doesn't hurt your feelings?
Not usually.
Okay.
I may tell them to back off. It gets back to this basic personality concept.
Yes.
And I'm really seeing where homeopathy comes into that. And so I dominate. I've had to work very, very, very hard to let my wife.
I was just going to ask you.
I dominated her for a long time. Some very, very harsh things came out about our family. And my wife and I went through about 8 years of, quite frankly, it was hell on earth. It was obviously a life-changing experience. I don't like that term particularly, but it was. And in that process, I backed off, did not do anything really to discipline the children. She had to take over. She would let me do it and not do anything herself. She was the contrast to me. So then she had to step forward. I let her take over the finances. These kinds of things have been very difficult for me to do. I'm glad I'm doing them now. My wife is in California. She's taking care of her mother. She is her mother's conservator. This means that in the eyes of the law, my wife is her mother.
You know what's interesting though, and this is, I don't know, maybe I'd like to hear what your opinion on this because you're kind of in the middle.
Yeah.
But I'm very similar to his type of, not as harsh, but I am very dominant. I do not, and I don't know if it came, I don't know where independence became dominant, but I don't want anybody telling me what to do, running my finances, it causes huge problems, and that's where I've never gotten married, because there's just no way. I'm not gonna let somebody tell me, I'm not going to try to explain to somebody why I bought something or how much I'm immediately offended by that. So, isn't that kind of interesting that two totally different...
But I wonder if that's not necessarily life experience.
That could be.
A product of. Because you've matured and you're older than maybe when you were 17 or something.
Yes.
And so maybe.
And I guess I was a little dominated back then.
It would have been different.
Yeah.
Possibly.
That's what I experienced. Exactly. Life teaches us lessons. We have a choice. Learn it or suffer from failing to learn it.
The consequences.
The
But
consequences.
knowing our remedy, I think, helps us to
deal with it.
To deal with it, because that has helped me with mine. I know.
That may be, for
How-
me,
how-
I had already gotten into that.
How has that helped you, Nancy?
It's helped me partly because there are different, each remedy has its good points and its bad points. And being cal-carb, the difficult things, the parts that I don't like about being cal-carb, well, number one, of course, is the desire to eat. But aside from that is the stubbornness and kind of hard-headedness.
You have that too?
Yeah.
Well, you think you
See,
do?
I have,
Karen, you think you do?
Absolutely.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Have you been accused of that?
Yes.
A lot?
I haven't
Yeah,
been accused of
yeah.
it. I've been told I am. It's not an accusation, it's a statement of fact.
And see, that's what I mean. But I've always kind of kept it to myself, almost like it was wrong. Like it was a bad thing.
To be what? To be stubborn?
To be stubborn or to be hard-headed. It's like if I didn't see it your way, or if I disagreed, then I'm hard-headed. So I found that to be hurtful. So I would just kind of.
Okay.
Okay.
What I
See,
see is the difference.
Karen's remedy is phosphorus, and see, she feels regretful for being hard-headed in a soft way,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you're being hard-headed, Nancy?
I don't feel quite as regretful. But I do feel that I'm kind of in between, because I know that I don't have the intensity of Ken. But what I was going to say about Karen is that even though you have certain ideas of what you know and beliefs and philosophies, I think it's how you respond to them that's a little bit different. Like
Yeah.
Dr. Shreve
Yes.
said, you are regretful and you have a softer, more emotional response to it. My response to mine is not quite probably as soft as yours, but I've had to reflect, because I know that it's not. I know that I want to work at being softer than I am, and it doesn't come quite as natural to me. I can see the difference between someone like yourself and myself, and I can see that I'm just not quite as soft. I have the same, affection and caring, but it just maybe doesn't come out as soft. Maybe I'm a little more reserved even, and hold it in a little bit more, where you just, freely show it.
Really?
That's what
You think so?
I've seen as maybe the difference.
Of course.
Because
For the viewers, Nancy works at the office, and you've been seeing a lot of remedies go in and out of the office. So you have developed a real good sense of what the remedies are about.